Too often, I'll say barefaced lies. I'll say barefaced lies. I'll say barefaced lies. Again, barefaced lies. Too often, I'll say barefaced lies. I'll say barefaced lies. I'll say barefaced lies. Again.
That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. But you won't wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah. You think we never wanna defend, yeah. Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shooting cold, overgrown, postal phony, barefaced lies.
Barefaced lies. Barefaced lies.
Hey Sean, you got a party, got that little party going on there. Keep to the left, you can't think right, so everything you do goes wrong, yeah. Incompetence just leads to disaster. Corruption brings it on even faster. What you say?
That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. But you won't wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah. And you think we never wanna defend, yeah. Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit cold, overgrown, postal phony, barefaced. That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. But you won't wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah. And you think we never wanna defend, yeah. Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit cold, overgrown, postal phony, barefaced lies.
Barefaced lies. Barefaced lies.
Comrades, you always told us you'd build us all a new Jerusalem, yeah. You talk the talk, but when you walk, you only leave a crooked line there. And you don't see the trouble that's brewing, if all you do is just what you're doing.
That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. But you won't wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah. But you think we never wanna defend, yeah. Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit cold, overgrown, postal phony, barefaced lies.
Is this where you wanna be? Debts and childhood poverty. Will somebody set us free from this corrupt kleptocracy? Oh yeah.
Barefaced lies.
That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. But you won't wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah. But you think we never wanna defend, yeah. Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit cold, overgrown, postal phony, barefaced. That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. But you won't wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah. But you think we never wanna defend, yeah. Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit cold, overgrown, postal phony, barefaced. That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. But you won't wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah. But you think we never wanna defend, yeah. Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit cold, overgrown, postal phony, barefaced. That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. But you won't wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah. You think we never wanna defend, yeah. Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise.
fear them. Do not fear any of them. On the 20th of November 2003, James Ignatius O'Rourke McMahon was elected councillor for the Failsworth East Ward of Oldham. Deeply ambitious, he ruthlessly rose to power, and by 2011, he was already leader of the council. In 2015, exploiting a Labour Party loophole, he became MP for Oldham West and Royton. If only the people of the town knew then what they now know. Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them.
A very, very good evening, Friday the 21st of February 2025. I normally don't do Friday night transmissions. In fact, they're very, 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 very rare. If there's ever anything on a Friday, it's in the afternoon. It's usually because I have the joys as a shared parent of having my daughter on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yeah, but not this week because it's half term and we split the week differently. So I promised I'd come back. So here I am, and I promised I'd share with you 6 years and no surrender. We're still here, we're still fighting, and this transmission really is in response to Rupert Lowe's post yesterday of how this was flavour of the month in January, front page headlines, debate in Parliament, and then it's like that dropped off the radar. Well, we've been here many times and we'll be here many times again. So I think it's fair for those of you who are new on this journey with me, not this journey per se, but new on this journey with me, as to what we've achieved in the last 6 years. And I've got something I'd like to share with you and work my way through. So that's the first thing I'd like to say. The second thing I'd like to say is I am actually at St. Peter's Square tomorrow in Manchester. My friend Billy from Parents Against Grooming UK, PAG UK, he's nothing like me. If I'm honest, he's more in your face, and he holds these demonstrations, rallies, protests, call them what you want, and every now and then, he invites me to all of them, and I decline most of them because they're on a Saturday, and it's one of the few times I spend with my daughter, so I decline in the main. But he asked me a couple of weeks ago, and it fell that I'm free this Saturday, so I'm going to be there about 1 o'clock, I think, tomorrow afternoon, St. Peter's Square in Manchester. I don't know, what good these things do. I genuinely don't know. I have gone to some of them. Some people, I've met good people there, and I've enjoyed the energy from a lot of people who've been on their own journeys. And then I also look at some people who turn up to these events and they're not for me, I'll be honest with you. Yeah, so but Billy's my friend, and he's asked me, and I will go, and if he wants me to speak, I'll speak, and I'll try my best to keep this going, keep this focused, and get us towards a public inquiry, a national inquiry now. Rian, thank you for this, and my apologies to someone. They sent me a message this afternoon. I'd not left the super chat up long enough, I don't think. I'm not sure what the etiquette is, I'm afraid, so my apologies. If you do share a super chat with me, I get the impression the etiquette is I've got to leave it up there, so my apologies. It's just me on the screen, and I need to do something with my computer, because you can keep seeing me glancing to the screen on one side and the camera somewhere else. So at some point very soon I've got to move things around, and I don't want to move things around because it's an old setup, and I'm not sure what will happen if I do move things around. The next thing I wanted to talk to you guys about was feedback I'm getting. Now, I appreciate a lot of you are new on this journey, and some of you are not at all happy with the 9-minute lead-in. The reason for the 9-minute lead-in, as I've tried to explain before, but there's a number of reasons for it. One is I need to make sure things work at my end. And no, I'm not going to check beforehand, because I know when I turn things on at my end, things happen at my end. So I've been on this journey many a time when the sound hasn't worked or the camera hasn't worked. So There's a reason why I do that, because sometimes things don't work and you don't see it, but I'm unplugging and plugging things in to get it to work. And no, this isn't me wanting new stuff. It's I'm happy with what I've got and happy with the way I do it. But there's two other reasons that I think are more important than my IT failings. One is that it's an opportunity for me to say hello to people and for people to say hello to me. You'll see those of you who come on and say hello. I put your posts up, and this goes back to the first of these transmissions and why we did it this way. It was meant to be in the end. I think why we did it this way was because the first of these transmissions were during COVID, and it was a way in which our community grew and our community kept in touch with each other. So that's why we have that leading. And there's also a silly reason for that. It's not silly, but there's another reason is, and that's Julie's here. Julie's not one of them, by the way. She's very smart on this. But as she'll share with you, what normally happens is a whole host of people. A lot of my supporters are elderly. And we started on Facebook. Let's be clear, we started on Facebook and only moved to YouTube because of the ongoing Facebook censorship. A lot of my people don't get the links, not sure what the links are, can't sign in, can't comment. And I'm texting people and speaking to people to get them set up as well. So that's what's going on in the background whilst the 9-minute timer is going on. And of course, those of you who watch afterwards, just come on, just forward it. You can forward it on YouTube. You don't have to watch it. You can forward it, and also, to be respectful to what we're trying to do. We are a community. We are an established community that want to help and want to grow and want to support everyone else. So you've got to value some of our little quirks. And in the scheme of things, they're not a big deal. You'll also see, I think, the other thing I do, for those of you who think this is a money earner, I turn the adverts off. There are no adverts on this live stream, or there shouldn't be adverts on the live stream. It's flashing right now. I'm looking at the computer and it's flashing right now. Turn on adverts, turn on adverts. I don't turn the adverts on for the live stream at all. YouTube do it afterwards when it's recorded and people can watch it, but there's no, and it's that, isn't it, Pauline? I start at 9 and it's 9 minutes past 9, and it's a quirk of mine. I come from, I write. It's what I started off doing. So it's a strange world. It seems to be, it's too fast for me. Really, it's too fast for me. And thank you. You've rediscovered Vimto, which is what I'm drinking. And contrary to what, I got a lovely email from someone who doesn't even subscribe, not even on the subscription channel, telling me off for people don't want to know about this, that, what I drink. Get on with it. Be more focused. Guys, this is me. Like me, lump me, leave me. This is me. This is what I do. This is how I've done it. And this is how I've behaved when I've been sat in rooms with children, the same as I've been sat in rooms with people with machine guns. And it's got me free. And it's got you to me and where we now are. So, okay. Vodka and Vimto is nice. My days of drinking are long gone, I'm afraid. But even when I was in that world, I never mixed vodka and Vimto. No. Okay. You've got me thinking. Right. For those of you who've joined me Friday night, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm looking at the viewing figures. They are low. So I'm not sure we'll do another. I'm not sure we will do another Friday night again. People have got things to do, but I promised. And I also wanted to encourage those of you who are close enough to get to go and support Billy tomorrow afternoon at St. Peter's Square in Manchester if you happen to be passing. So that's what I wanted to comment on, promote really. I also. Perhaps I came across a bit harsh yesterday, and if I did, my apologies. I have no qualms in apologising if I came across harsh. I got a couple of emails from people who are civil servants. A couple of emails as well, so it wasn't just one, a few emails. And they're like, Raja, we watch you. Word for word, more or less the same sort of email. We watch you, we're too scared to like, share, comment, in case someone will come after us. And I appreciate that. I mean, I don't like it. It's not them I don't like. I don't like the situation. What sort of country have we become where people can't support a campaign for a public inquiry into the cover-up of the gang rape of children? You know, there's a lot of contentious issues out there, I understand. Things to do with immigration, things to do with, you know, crime and punishment, biological males using female toilets, all sorts of things you see all the time. And I understand, you know, perhaps you can say the wrong thing and get yourself in trouble. But what sort of world are we now living in? What sort of country are we living in? Where decent people are scared to support a campaign that is doing nothing other than trying to get a national inquiry to investigate the systemic gang rape of, as Liz Truss, the former Prime Minister, herself also shared, 100,000 children and more. I don't know enough about the Barrow case, I'm afraid, to comment on it. And I've seen the stuff that's released, but it's not enough has been released for me. So I don't know enough about the Barrow case to comment on it, because it's promoted as a CSE case, but is it CSE in the case of a grooming gang in the where we know it? I don't know. I don't know enough about it. I also want to know why and how that two of these men were given a life sentence when I've never seen that before. There's a lot more I think we don't know about what's gone on there. It's easy, I don't know. Who am I to judge? Who am I to judge? Saying that, please, as always, all of my work is 100% community funded. It's funded by you. My ask is sign up to the newsletter, Redwall and the Rabble. I checked the viewing figures for January, 150,000 of you tuned into my transmissions on YouTube, 150,000 of you. We've got just over 2,000 subscribers of Redwall and the Rabble, vast majority of them under free subscription. So please, if you can. And I'll keep asking. And I don't care how upset people get, I'll keep asking and I'll keep plugging. Because that's my role here, I'm a campaigner. I'm not here to entertain you. I'm not, if you're entertained, it's a bonus. I'm not here to entertain you. I'm here to get you to have some feelings and get you off your ass to do something about it. Okay. So please, Redwall and the Rabble. I'm looking at the screen and I'll tell you how many have subscribed to the newsletter by the time we've finished. If you can, please do. It's that, isn't it? 100,000, 150,000. Watch the content. And the numbers aren't some ego metric. It's the numbers we need to get them to be concerned enough about us where what we campaign for has more of an impact. I'll be clear. We win. We get the public inquiry. We get over the line, and those who are responsible are held to account, and the world changes for the better. And these children are rightfully, these young women now who are rightly protected and compensated for what took place to them. I'll close the YouTube channel down and I'll go back to reading books. I'm fine. Completely fine with that. And that's it, isn't it? Yeah. Thank you. And so So we're clear. If anyone wants to put some super chats on, I will leave the super chats on longer. My apologies for yesterday. I didn't realise the etiquette. Okay. People say, where have we got to in the 6 years? And I said, don't be disheartened. We have made so much progress. More progress than ever before since we made it what it is. Which is a grassroots activist. It's an insurgency. It's a political insurgency. And were we considered radical and extremist 6 years ago? Well, actually, the world's changed and we've held firm, and more people have moved into our space. So I want to talk to you in segments, really. We've come a long way in politics. I'll talk about that. We've come a long way in terms of the press and the media in those 6 years. We've come a long way in terms of the people who are signed up on this. And the last P is what I call perception. How this is viewed in the world. So politics, press, people, perception. Hi Julie, sorry, missed you. Hope you're well. And yes, David, Nesta, late. So let's talk about politics, first and foremost. 6 years ago, no one politically spoke about this. What we now have is MPs in Parliament standing up and confirming that not only were working class white girls systematically gang raped up and down the country, they were also gang raped disproportionately by predominantly Pakistani heritage men, and the crimes against them were covered up, including the cover-up by politicians. That is a monumental political achievement. 6 years ago, the only political space this had, Sarah Champion had said something and she'd been sidelined. Anne Cryer had said something and she's been denounced as a racist. I'm sorry, so we're clear. Someone made an allegation yesterday. I touched nothing. You can see here, my hands here, I touched nothing. So if your comments are disappearing, it's got nothing to do with me. It'd be YouTube doing something, deciding you've said something inappropriate. It's not me. So 6 years ago, the political landscape was very different. So the sort of mainstream politicians that had dared to say anything were sacked or dismissed. And the only sort of political space around this was occupied by the likes of the EDL. And Tommy Robinson perhaps had to argue a different phase of his life, an earlier, angrier phase of his life. And it was confrontational politics. Now, we've got mainstream politicians, because the Conservative Party, forget Reform for a minute, the Conservative Party is a mainstream party. We've got Liz Truss, the former Prime Minister. I don't care if you're a former Prime Minister for a week, a month. She's the former Prime Minister. And I shared the video yesterday, making specific reference to not just what happened, but the political nature of the cover-up. That is transformational. And the fight The fight to get this far. You have no idea, some of you. It didn't happen by accident. Yeah. And I don't buy this. And I'll get to that. I'll get to that. We're going to talk about perception. But do remind me, Andy, I'll get to that. So we've now got mainstream MPs talking about this, championing it. Never before seen. We've also got a mainstream political party. It's the only party I've looked at it, and I didn't vote for them. I stood against them. But Reform have got 5 MPs, and it was in the manifesto pledge. The public inquiry, the national inquiry, is in the manifesto pledge. So you've got a mainstream political party that stood on this platform. Never before. Because it made it important. So the political optics of this has changed. And I genuinely do believe there are Conservative MPs in Parliament, and also definitely the Reform MPs in Parliament, who will fight for you and dismiss being branded as racist or far right, because the politics of this has changed. I can't do anything about that yet. But you've seen it. Nationally, the politics of this has changed. Now I want to talk about the press. 6 years ago, I think the best we'd got was a guy called Andrew Norfolk at the Times, who wrote about Rotherham, who wrote about Rochdale. And that was it. It was contained. No one else really spoke about it, to the point well, when Tommy Robinson got himself in trouble, or one of the many times he got himself in trouble, I'm afraid I am what I am. You're not going to get me to be anything else. Six years ago, the mainstream media did its best not to report on these things. It's why Mr. Robinson got himself in trouble at one point. Don't think he understood exactly what he was doing in his actions in potentially undermining a trial or a criminal case, but the perception we had, or the reality was, it's not even a perception, that the press were partners in hiding what was taking place. And to this day, there are elements of the press that are still partners. They still are partners in hiding what is taking place. But there's one problem. There's a news channel called GB News. And there's a new channel called GB News, likes of Charlie Peters, who are relentless on this. So you've got a mainstream news channel now leading the fight on this. And their numbers are growing. More so than Sky, more so than Channel 4 News. You saw Channel 4 News about 2 months ago, 2 months ago, I think. They tried to run a documentary on that Ellie Williams when this had happened. So this one young woman who'd made things up, so they tried to smear it with every one of us being, and they making it up, and they miscalculated. I've got all of this, Rose. None of this is new to me. I've got all of this. What I'm trying to do is focus on the journey we've been on in six years, and what we've achieved, and why the landscape now is different. So the situation with the media is very different. And every time anyone says anything in the mainstream media, what we now have is what they call the alternative media. Well, actually, it's the majority media, isn't it? Social media. Facebook, YouTube, X, TikTok, WhatsApp groups, Telegram groups. Maya Tushi's right in what he says. We are the press. We control the narrative. We decide what's important. So the way in which news comes forward and what is important, they can't suppress the narrative anymore. They can't control the news anymore. And we've even got a mainstream news platform on our side. And so much so in January, we saw front page headlines in the Daily Mail, in the Telegraph, about the national shame. Maggie Oliver talking about Starmer was as much responsible as anyone else. That's the Prime Minister. And that's the front page of a news publication. That would never have happened 6 years ago. That would never have happened 6 years ago. So we've got politicians on our side. We've got the news, the press on our side, or enough of the press on our side. And even if they're not on our side, we've got the ability to be the press ourselves and raise awareness of these issues and reach audiences of millions. And no, Julie, they can't cover it up now. I don't buy any. You know, this defeatist attitude. Why do you waste your time coming here? Nothing will change. These people will always get away with it. It's a Friday night. Go and do something. I'm very clear. It's night and day. It's darkest winter to spring here. The politicians we've got, the press we've got, and the people. There's millions of us who are on the page who now know this is not a far-right conspiracy or barefaced lies. This is real. And irrespective of your politics, the nation is outraged. The entire country is outraged. And our numbers have grown. I'll go to Billy's event tomorrow, and I've been to his events before in the past, and they're not well attended. They're not. And the people who turn up sometimes aren't, it's not the company I'd keep. I'm sorry, if you're drinking cans of beer at 10 in the morning, you're not the company I keep. But we've become mainstream. My inbox is full of everything from grannies to professionals to young people from across all communities. Admittedly, I'd love to see more from the Muslim community, but there isn't. So we'll grow the way we can do, as best as we can. But our numbers have grown. And our numbers have not just grown, but the types of people who have engaged in this space have changed. And I'd say changed for the better. They're not skinhead men standing outside a town hall in Rochdale, which is where I first saw it, trying to fight with the police or anyone else. The vast majority of people who occupy this space are just like me, just like you. Decent. And I've shared with you, Andy, I didn't know. I mean, I can't help you. In 1993, I was 21, I think. No, I was 19. My apologies, I was 19. So the people have changed. Then we go on and talk about perception. And I'll talk about Nick Griffin and others. The perception here, and it still exists with some of you, I sense it. It's okay. You're allowed to have your views and opinions. I disagree with you completely. But I will not say that it is an issue, because it is an issue. The perception, and this is why so many people were scared to engage in this space, was that those who were campaigning for this issue were historically racist and far right. And that's because some of it was racist and far right. It was an exclusive focus on an entire community, saying all of you are to blame. I'm not to blame for someone else any more than any of you are to blame for some nutcase. And it was tied in with the far right narrative, which still exists today. I see it. I ban people all the time because I'm not interested in arguing with you, because you're entrenched in that viewpoint, and it's not for me. If you want that, go somewhere else. The failings on this, I'm clear, are on the state, because it's the state's duty to protect children. And whilst these were racially motivated crimes, and you'll see I'm very, very clear that these are racially motivated crimes, My position has been to have them lodged as racially motivated crimes, shine the light on it, and whatever comes out, comes out. But I'm not going to demonize an entire demographic because it fits that narrative. I'm in this space because it's my town. I'm in this space because I'm an anti-racist. I'm in this space because I have a career in safeguarding children. I've not picked something up and thought, okay, what's an issue I can use to reinforce my prejudices against a certain group of people. Those of you who followed my work in Oldham will know that I have openly fought and campaigned against white child sex offenders, including prominent politicians. Rose, if you want to do something on that, then you can get in touch with me and I'll happily listen to you. But it's not something I'm interested in right now. And I'm not picking on you, sweet. You've just come here with I sense, with a clear, lens on what you want to talk about. I want to focus on the 6 years and the journey we've been on. And I agree. No. The government doesn't have a problem with white people. The government has a problem with working class white people. And that's a shift in perception. Because when we looked at this, we looked at it with a viewpoint of, oh, there's an issue in this specific Pakistani community. Of course there's an issue within that. There's an issue in the religion. I don't know if there's an issue in the religion, but if there is, go and find it. I'm happy for it to be looked at. But what there was an issue in, that was avoided, was the contempt in which white working class girls were held. There's also a perception that shifted that this was to do with maintaining community relations. We now know this had nothing to do with maintaining community relations. This had everything to do with maintaining the power base and the existing status quo that allowed certain people to remain in the powerful positions they are. The entire perception of how the grooming gangs are viewed in this country has changed. I don't think you're racist at all, Rose, but I've told you, just get in touch with me. I'll chat to you offline. It's no problem. But the perception has changed. We're not the racists. We now know these are racially motivated crimes. Massive difference. We were racist for raising this before, and now we know these are racially motivated crimes. The perception just on that, it's night and day. It is absolutely night and day. The perception that we need to look at one demographic from where these rape gang members came from and focus all our attention on the entire community as a consequence, that has changed. We now understand it's far more nuanced than that, including how the white working classes were the actual victims of racism here, both from the perpetrator community and also from the white middle classes who looked on the white working class with contempt. That's transformational, that shift. Just recognizing that and understanding that. We also now know that the perception that these children were making lifestyle choices is outrageous. It's outrageous. No one in their right mind would make that claim now. You saw the clip, some of you saw the clip I shared of the debate with the urgent question when Yvette Cooper marched in. And Theresa May, as the former Home Secretary, was being forced to respond. The Home Office had commissioned some report to do with child prostitution. No one in their right mind would use the term child prostitution now. We accept, under no circumstances, that any of the children now can ever be held in any way complicit in what was done to them. Under no circumstances whatsoever. That is a massive change. And that leads me to the fifth P that I hadn't put up there. There's a policy change. There's a clear policy change. The policy position 6 years ago was denial. And though they've been dragged kicking and screaming here, last month the Home Secretary Yvette Cooper announced a deep dive, rapid review by Baroness Casey to understand the research and research what's going on here so a policy position can emerge. And I will lobby, I will fight, I will campaign. I'll do all the things I do in front of the camera and behind the camera as the Casey review starts to report things and nudge it along to a place as best as we can so we can perhaps use it as a platform, another step in our journey to a national inquiry. So the entire world in which this horrific series of crimes, multi-generational, let's be clear. I'm with Andy, I think. He said 1993 he first came across it. 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. And in a small window, a disparate group of people with a common goal, who politically disagree, who professionally might not be on the same page. But between all of us, we've moved it into this space where we are this close to delivering justice. Our numbers need to grow. We need more people in politics. We need more people in the councils. We need more councils on our side. We need more MPs on our side. We need more members in the press speaking up. There's still lone voices or rare voices. We need more of you speaking up. If we are the media, then we need to become the media. Our numbers are growing. I mean, I'm not happy with how slowly they're growing, but they are growing. And anyone and everyone who follows my work now knows the truth of this in terms of the perception of what this really is about, and it's really about power. And there are politicians in this country who traded working class white girls in exchange for power. There's a calculated decision. And that's fundamentally why that last barrier to a public inquiry now is because it will incriminate powerful people. That's the last step we need to make. And the way we'll do that is by forcing those who are not directly incriminated to make the right decision in order not to do the right thing, because politicians in the main do not do the right thing. The thing they first of all do is protect themselves. Which is why you've seen Andy Burnham change his mind. And now agree, after fronting a review that was a cover-up exercise, is now like this, changed his mind. Yes, my review was limited, it did not have the statutory powers to get to the truth. Do you think he said that willingly? He said that to safeguard himself. So that's what I wanted to share with you this evening. We've come a long way. And not to get disheartened, because it is night and day from where it was 6 years ago. We are winning. We might not get to the end of the line, because as Rose said and some of the others said, these people are powerful and the truth will never come out. Do you not think I feel that? If I react to you because it's I fear that as well. But does that mean we stop? Does that mean we give up? It can't. We've got to see this through. And everything I have been taught, everything I have ever witnessed, anywhere in the world, is that in the end, it is only ordinary people who make the difference. Ordinary people who refuse to look the other way. Ordinary people who refuse to surrender to injustice. I don't know if you're religious or not, if you're spiritual or not, but you've got to believe good will overcome evil. And what was done is evil, and the subsequent cover-up is equally evil. So here I am, pleading with you to support me. It's a quiet evening, and I've had a couple of people buy me samosas and 1 or 2 sign-ups, both free and shared. So on that note, I'll take some questions. If you've got any questions, I'll take them. People said, "Oh, Raja, you don't leave time for questions." Well, here I am. I've got time for questions. If you've got any questions, ask them me. I think he met his match in us. When he came into that council meeting in Oldham and he sat down waiting to be called to the front, he looked around at me, I looked at him, and we all looked at him, and I knew then we had him. He'd never seen anything like it. He'd never been in a space with 100 angry people. I think they all watch it. I know in my town they all watch it. And they're all quick to say they never watch me. But how we have informed and influenced and pressured in a small town, we now are doing this on a national scale. And I looked at that, Pauline, because Geoffrey Dickens, he was an Oldham MP, wasn't he? But I think the world's changed. It's not just a file that can go missing anymore, is it? The way we can communicate with each other is not how Geoffrey Dickens and his ilk could communicate 30 years ago, 40 years ago. He was a Saddleworth Tory, wasn't he? Yeah. His house was on Holts though, wasn't it? Or just off Holts Estate, back of Leeds, is that? Have I made that up? I'm sure that's where his house was. Or had a house. An old boss of mine went to his funeral, liked him, admired him. She was as socialist as they came, from Leeds. No, Arud Shah's not going to be out, mate. And we can talk about this. If you want me to talk about it now, I'll talk about it. But Arud Shah's not going to be out. This May or next May. I don't know what else you can do apart from raise awareness. I sense impatientness in people who've joined me late, but I've been honest with you. We've just got to keep at it. This will continue until the next general election. That's my honest opinion. This will continue until the next general election. I am clear. I'm very clear. I challenged the MP, Debbie Abrams, on it. I've seen the evidence. I've seen the testimonies from school staff. I've spoken to young girls. Children were groomed and gang raped from the school gates of Countill School, from the gates of Countill School. Pastoral staff would go looking for them in houses with Pakistani men, knowing that they were there, where they would be. And it all got hushed up. I'm very clear on that. I've shared that with you. I'm glad, not impatient. We just need to persevere. And it is happening in every town and city where the demographics are the same and the political landscape is the same. It's like a restaurant with poor hygiene. Where those conditions exist, you're going to get food poisoning. Where those conditions exist, you're going to get a rat infestation or a mouse infestation. And it's the same here. 100% the same here. It was, wasn't it? But remember what that meeting was, Tony. They were fronting a report attempting to facilitate a cover-up that we now know is a cover-up. She goes silent, doesn't she? When she wants to talk about Kashmir, but she doesn't want to talk about Countill School. My plea to, there's 425 of you today. I'm sorry, Arthur. I'm not. I think I've explained to you my equipment does its own thing. There you go. I've moved it up. One of the few Pakistanis who follow my work, so I will say hello to Toby. I am going to release some masterclasses. I was trying to fundraise for the masterclasses through my crowdfunder link. And remember, I crowdfunded my election campaign successfully and my campaigns to mobilise election materials that helped remove 3 successive council leaders. Do you know what happened when I tried to crowdfund on that same crowdfunder page where I'd raised, I think, something like £20,000, maybe more, over like a number of years? I put up a crowdfunder for racial resilience for white people. Crowdfunder closed down my account. I think as a direct complaint from some Labour Party activists. No questions asked, crowdfunder closed down my fundraising account. Because the idea always was to have a roadshow of travelling workshops and seminars along with some online seminars. I'm just trying to get some money together and I will upgrade my, what's it called? It's not Skype, is it? Zoom subscription. Yeah, I keep a lot of this quiet. Because I don't want you to get disheartened. I look at that and laugh. I look at that and laugh. I know I'm not the first for it to happen to, but what if I am, whether you like it or not, I am a political campaigner and I was looking to run a series of educational workshops of teaching working class white people how they could articulate and navigate their the discrimination against them, so they are resilient to both extremists on one side and they can also navigate the policy terrain so they're taken in a way where they're not easily dismissed as racist. I'd have thought that was in the public interest, not something a decorated anti-racist trying to do gets banned off a fundraising platform for. And you know and I know, crowdfunder didn't decide that. Some powerful politicians got in touch with them. Just as some powerful politicians or their lawyers got in touch with YouTube last week, that resulted in the banning of 2 videos. One was a dossier. It was all I did was share the dossier of evidence. And the second video, all I did was rip apart Yvette Cooper, the Home Secretary's position on these local inquiries and share with people why they were inadequate and a continuation of the cover-up. I think it's exactly that. I think it's government interference. Those of you who asked me about my Oldham content, I do need to do something with my Oldham content. I've not done anything with it for a while. And I think what we'll probably do, because a lot of the national people here, international people here, they're not here for the Oldham content. I think what I'll do is run a parallel series of transmissions to do with the Oldham stuff. one a week specifically looking at Oldham. So I'll do that for you. Please, if you're finding value in this, and it's been a very quiet day on my membership page as well, in terms of sign-ups, we've got single figure sign-ups. My target is 10. Is hoping I'd get, on a good day, 4 paid subscriptions, maybe 6 free subscriptions. We're not even hitting that. I will be at Billy's event tomorrow afternoon, and I'll be back here on Sunday evening for another workshop sort of transmission. Once again, one last time, if you find value in my work, I am 100% community funded. The only way I can share the content I do is through your support. If you can't subscribe to Red Wall and the Rabble for whatever reason, can't commit to 75 pence a week, pennies, if you can't commit that for whatever reason, or £30 a year, then please buy me a coffee. Or at the very least, share the content and help raise awareness. A very good evening.
Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them. On the 20th of November 2003, James Ignatius O'Rourke McMahon was elected councillor for the Failsworth East Ward of Oldham. Deeply ambitious, he ruthlessly rose to power, and by 2011, he was already leader of the council. In 2015, exploiting a Labour Party loophole, he became MP for Oldham West and Royton. If only the people of the town knew then what they now know. Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them.